What's up everybody? I know I'm a little late to the party, but I finally got to reviewing the latest ASUS VivoBook S. In particular, the configuration we have here is rocking Intel's 12th generation 12500H i5 processor, 16GB of DDR4 memory, a generous 1TB solid-state drive. Additionally, we do have Intel's integrated Iris Xe graphics, also Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5 come standard on board, and finally this is the 15-inch configuration with that gorgeous OLED panel. Now a lot of the reviews on YouTube have covered the 14-inch version of this laptop, so this one is a little bit bigger, so we might find some unique insights that we might not have otherwise discovered, so let's check it out. In terms of the unboxing experience, it's pretty standard. You have a generic looking cardboard box, though ASUS does love their cheesy lines. Wow the world, as you can see right here. Now once you open the box, inside firstly you'll find the crown jewel itself, which is of course the VivoBook S itself, to remove all that protective packaging, and here it is. Past that, you also have the inclusion of a 90-watt charging adapter, and my favorite part, you have USB-C charging right out of the box. Love it already. Past that, you have the standard wall outlet charging cable piece, and finally the quick-start warranty and regulation information booklet. Upon initial glance, this thing looks very much like your average productivity laptop. So you have nice linear edges, a clean design, nothing too excessively flashy, pretty good overall. You also have a hybrid metallic / plastic build, which equates to a approximate weight of just 4 pounds. It's a little bit heavier than your average 15-inch laptop, but within the threshold of acceptability. Now, starting off with the top side, like I mentioned, you have a nice metallic exterior here, no particular texture, but one big problem right away is that this thing is an absolute fingerprint magnet. The simple act of touching it can leave smudges. It is a bit of a problem aesthetically speaking. Now, you do have some unique branding on the right middle side. You'll notice that you have the VivoBook as well as the ASUS branding right there. Definitely stands out from a lot of the competition in that regard. On the side of this laptop is where you'll find all the I/O port diversity. So on the busier side, you have a HDMI 2B port, 2 fully loaded Thunderbolt 4 ports. You have one USB-A super speed port, and then the good old headphone jack. On the other side, you do have a massive heat exhaust vent. Right next to that, you have a USB-A 2.0 port. While I absolutely love the abundance of 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports here, what I don't like is the lack of a SD card reader, especially given that this laptop is often marketed towards content creators and media specialists alike. The bottom of this laptop appears to have a plastic surface finish. You also have plenty of rubber grips to keep the laptop in place. You'll notice you have 2 long air intake vents, but what concerns me here is that there's only one cooling fan on board, and that definitely has certain thermal implications I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. Now past that, you'll notice you do have 2 speaker grills, one on either corner of the bottom side, so it is a bottom firing setup. Still watching? I'm so happy to see that. If you're enjoying the content, please consider subbing to this channel and liking this video. I put a lot of time, effort, and resource, and it's just me here, so you doing that really helps keep this channel running. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. Upon unfolding this laptop, you're greeted by a generous amount of palm rest space. It is a fully metallic inner chassis as well, though it is a fingerprint magnet just like the exterior. Right above the trackpad, you'll notice you kind of have this weird ASUS-like design thingy going on where they have a bunch of random lines that kind of look like a measuring scale. You know, ASUS being ASUS. Now, as far as the palm rest is concerned, you have a generous amount of surface real estate here. However, it is a plastic surface finish, and there is a concerning amount of flex, particularly towards the corners. The one good news here is that the clicks are really well calibrated. I did not have any input issues while using the trackpad. Now, the keyboard here is very interesting. So for beginners, you have well-labeled keycaps, a decent amount of surface area per keycap. Additionally, it's a fully backlit keyboard. You also have the inclusion of a 10 keypad with the 15-inch variant. Additionally, the power button doubles as a fingerprint scanner. All fine and dandy so far. The problem is with the actual typing experience. The keys are slightly finicky. Also, you don't have a lot of key travel, which means it's a very shallow typing experience, especially when compared to the likes of the Dell Inspiron or Lenovo's IdeaPad series. They could have done a little bit more to make this a slightly better typing experience, but overall, it's not bad. You have a single mechanism hinge here, and honestly the quality is fantastic. There is a very limited amount of wobble, it's well tuned, and it's tightly in place. As far as display fitting goes, you do have a plastic encasing all around. However, you do have a pretty thin chin at the bottom with some ASUS branding. You have very narrow bezels on either side, and at the top you have a pretty thin forehead as well. What is highly disappointing here is that they're still using a 720p webcam in 2022/2023. Come on ASUS, get with the program. I wouldn't recommend this for your online dating needs. The display is by far the most iconic feature of this laptop. So let's get into it. You have a modest resolution of 1920 by 1080 or Full HD if you will, which equates into a 16:9 aspect ratio. You do have a standard refresh rate of 60 Hz, but it all starts getting better from there because you have a gorgeous OLED panel with a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. The blacks look impeccable. On top of that, you have great viewing angles in general. It is worth noting, however, you do not have a built-in touchscreen display here. But past that, you have a godly color rating of 100% DCI-P3 gamut coverage, which of course naturally also means you have a 100% sRGB color rating as well. This thing is optimized for content creators and color sensitive activities as well, such as photo or video editing, for example. Now past that, you have a super impressive 600 nits maximum brightness on the display, so despite having a glossy finish, it's up to the challenge of destroying any potential glare you would have both in indoor and outdoor settings alike. In some regions, this laptop even comes with a upgraded Quad HD display with a 120 Hz refresh rate. Pretty cool, right? Now anyway, moving over to performance. So you do have a H series i5 processor in the base configuration we have here. This is more than enough for day-to-day activities like web browsing, HD content streaming. Even more intensive activities like programming and 3D modeling are very much possible thanks to that generous 16 GB of RAM we have on board. Even the most intensive activities like 4K video editing are very much possible, though you will have the occasional frame drop, and that's because of the thermals. I'll talk more about that in a quick minute. Now, casual gaming is more than possible on here. In fact, games like Fortnite run at a steady 30 plus frames per second at medium settings, which should be pretty good for the average casual gamer. Thermals are a little concerning on this laptop. So basically, under unrealistic peak loads, you can hit a maximum surface temperature of around 47 degrees Celsius, which is pretty hot. Now, more realistic sustained loads can still go all the way up to 43 degrees Celsius, a little too close for comfort in my opinion. Now, with that said, the key problem here by far is the fact that you only have a single cooling unit on here, which means not enough heat is being exhausted out when you're doing very demanding activities. This also means, of course, though, that the fan frequently runs on maximum RPM. The good news is that the peak noise rarely goes above 51 decibels, so it's a relatively quiet fan. With a 70 watt per hour 3-cell battery, you can expect about 8.5 hours of day-to-day battery life. This is doing activities like web browsing, HD content streaming, a little bit of light photo editing, and other light to moderately intensive activities. It's also worth noting the speakers on here are rather disappointing. They honestly are more comparable to a budget level laptop. The mids and lows are practically non-existent. Have a quick listen for yourself. With an approximate starting price of $900 US, this is definitely a upper mid-range machine. In return, you get decent build quality, you have a amazing display even with the base Full HD configuration that we have here, and a decent mix of I/O port diversity. Now on the flip side, if you're looking for a laptop that's more all-out well balanced or is more better for general productivity, you may want to consider HP or Dell's Plus series of laptops, as they have better thermal management, which results in slightly better performance, and their components are also generally of higher quality, including the 1080p webcam they offer or better speakers. But if you have a very specific workflow in mind and you are very particular about your display quality, no one does it better in this price point than ASUS's OLED panel that we have here. It really is fantastic and jaw-dropping in every sense of the word. So it all comes down to your use case. If you have a good use case for a high quality display, this is the laptop to go for. But if you're looking for a more all-rounder kind of machine, there are plenty of other options that might even be slightly cheaper potentially. Let me know what you think of the new VivoBook OLED S model that we have here, whether or not you'd consider getting it. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to this channel. It genuinely helps me grow. Thanks for watching.